Joe's about to get some pretty good news. He's being promoted to supervisor. Becoming a supervisor can be a very exciting and anxious experience. You should be proud that your hard work is being rewarded and that the company has confidence in your ability to be a leader. Making the transition to supervisor is a challenge, and one that you can't possibly be totally prepared for. As a new supervisor, you'll go from being the one doing the job to being the one who works through others to get the job done. Being a supervisor means managing the people who work for you and managing yourself. This program was designed to help new supervisors learn how to manage themselves, because managing others is easier if you know how to manage yourself. We'll see how to make it through the first few weeks, and you'll get some tips on how to become a good supervisor. As we go through this program, we'll watch Joe make the transition, and we'll see some of the challenges that new supervisors face. We'll also discuss some of the essential skills that all good supervisors should have. Joe's about to get some pretty good news. He's being promoted to supervisor. Becoming a supervisor can be a very exciting and anxious experience. You should be proud that your hard work is being rewarded and that the company has confidence in your ability to be a leader. Making the transition to supervisor is a challenge, and one that you can't possibly be totally prepared for. As a new supervisor, you'll go from being the one doing the job to being the one who works through others to get the job done. Being a supervisor means managing the people who work for you and managing yourself. This program was designed to help new supervisors learn how to manage themselves, because managing others is easier if you know how to manage yourself. We'll see how to make it through the first few weeks, and you'll get some tips on how to become a good supervisor. As we go through this program, we'll watch Joe make the transition, and we'll see some of the challenges that new supervisors face. We'll also discuss some of the essential skills that all good supervisors should have. One of the first things you need to know about making the transition to supervisor is that it's not an easy one. The first few weeks are an adjustment period for you and for the people working for you. Starting a new job often causes anxiety and some apprehension. But if that new job is as a first-time supervisor, it may well be your toughest job yet. Your new job means being responsible not only for your own work, but also for the work of others. Your first few weeks will be filled with many different challenges. One of the first things a new supervisor should do is get acquainted with the group. In Joe's case, the company reorganized, and most of the members of his group are employees he has never worked with before. Conducting a group meeting is a good way to introduce yourself and discuss your new role and the goals you have for the group.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to get everyone together so we could start getting to know each other. Now, some of us have worked together before, but never in a group like this.
First impressions are very important. Although you may feel anxious about your new responsibilities, you need to show your group members that you are confident about your ability to do the job. This is a time that they need to feel reassured that the changes taking place are good ones, and that you are someone who can lead them in the right direction. It's important for you to be yourself. Try to reassure everyone that for now, it's business as usual. Most people naturally resist change, and they may be anxious about what the future holds for them. Putting their minds at ease as early as possible will help to reassure them. Let them know that you don't plan to make any big changes right away. This first meeting is also important to establish open communication. Right from the start, you want to let everyone know that you value open communication. Not only do you plan to keep them informed, but you expect the same from them.
So, if you have something you'd like to discuss, I want you to feel free to come talk to me about it.
Your group members need to know that if they have a problem, they should bring it to your attention right away. Let them know that you are available to listen and discuss any concerns they may have. Establishing yourself as someone they can talk to right from the beginning is a critical step for a new supervisor. In the beginning, you're bound to hear plenty of stories about people and the things they've done. Remember that you should make judgments based on performance, not on someone else's opinion. Let everyone know that you are beginning this job with a clean slate. In other words, don't have any preconceived ideas about them as individuals. Make sure they understand that you plan to be objective and deal with every situation and every employee individually.
Congratulations, Joe. You
Thanks.
deserve it.
Thanks, Sue.
Some previous coworkers that you've had a long-time relationship with will recognize your new responsibilities and support you. But keep in mind that you'll probably have to redefine your friendships with those people. They need to understand that you can still be friends, but issues such as confidentiality and personal integrity are more important than ever. Not all of your former coworkers will make the transition easy. Some may think that because the two of you are buddies, they should get special favors. This is one of the toughest situations a new supervisor will face.
Hey, John.
Hey, buddy, this is great, man. You and I still working together, and now with you in charge, I can finally get that raise.
Oh, yeah, buddy, this is going to be great. You know, we can still hang out. That's not going to change. But we have to be cool around here. Some people might think I'm playing favorites. John, you know how many supervisors we've had over the years. And remember, we've always agreed on which ones were the good ones. And we've always agreed on what we thought makes a good supervisor. Well, I'm telling you that I'm going to try really hard to remember all those things. I'm going to give you the support that you need, and I want the performance from you that I need.
The best way to handle this type of situation is to talk to your old friends individually. Let them know that you plan to work very hard at being the kind of supervisor that you and they can respect. One of the traits that is important in a good supervisor is not trying to be both a buddy and a boss. Remember to always act professionally. A good supervisor is involved and friendly, but doesn't try to be one of the group. Part of being professional means keeping relationships on a business basis and treating everyone equally. In the beginning, you may be impatient because you want to make changes. But another key to making the transition to supervisor a smooth one is to resist the urge to make big changes. Remember that during the first few weeks, you'll be spending most of your time getting adjusted to your new responsibilities. Things like meetings, personnel problems, and deadlines may take up a lot of your time. Concentrate on the group dynamics and how best to make the group operate efficiently before you make changes. And when you're ready, be sure to explain the changes to the people who will be affected by them.
How's it going, Joe?
Well, Sue called in sick today. Bill and George are still arguing over next month's schedule, and we got those 2 new jobs dropped on us yesterday. Maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Oh, and one more thing, be patient with yourself. Even though you may have become a supervisor overnight, the transition will take some time. Try to relax, look at the big picture, and give yourself time.
Listen, I'm not really sure myself what's going on with this place. They keep making personnel changes and budget changes. Who knows? Maybe now that I'm closer to management, I can get some answers. I sure hope so.
Being a supervisor is not an easy job. Eventually, you're bound to be faced with difficult situations such as resolving personnel conflicts, firing an employee, or handling pay raise issues. Dealing with these situations and keeping a positive attitude may sound impossible, but that's exactly what a good supervisor needs to do. Let's face it, asking two people who don't get along to work together or telling someone he must work overtime isn't easy for a seasoned supervisor. For a new supervisor, these times may be difficult. But if you rely on a positive attitude, you'll get positive results. Remember, a positive attitude is contagious. The supervisor of a group sets the working atmosphere for the group. You may not realize it, but the employees in your group notice your attitude. They'll respond enthusiastically when you're positive and excited about a new challenge. But they'll also back away and may become anxious if they see that you have a negative attitude or are troubled. Let's look at some mistakes a new supervisor may make and see how to turn them around to set a positive attitude for the group.
Sue, I want to speak to you about the amount of time you spend on your breaks.
I mean, he should talk. He spends more time on breaks than I do.
First off, monitor your personal time. We all know someone who spends too much time around the water cooler or too much time on the phone. Don't let that person be you. Remember that if you have bad habits, such as taking long lunches or spending too much time on personal business, your employees will feel justified to do the same. You need to set a good example. You can only expect your employees to display the same standards that you have for yourself. Your bad habits may become their bad habits.
Joe, we really need that part for Unit 3. Have you had a chance to order it yet?
No, I haven't. I forgot about it all last week. I'll order it sometime this week.
Set desired productivity. In other words, set a good example when it comes to getting things done. Always try to complete the tasks you promised by the deadlines you agreed to. If you show your employees that you can be counted on to do the work that you promised, they'll be more apt to get things done for you. Being on time for meetings and sticking to an agenda are also ways to show your employees that you respect them and value their time and effort.
Oh, can't believe how Joe screwed up on this. Now I'm going to have to work late to fix it.
Exceed quality standards. If you want your employees to respect you, don't just get the job done, get it done right. One sure way for your employees to lose respect for you is to do a poor job or cause them to have to rework something. If you strive to exceed your own personal quality standards, they will feel compelled to do the same.
Hey, Joe, what do you think about the new guy, man?
You won't believe what I heard about him.
Oh, really? What'd you hear?
Model good behavior. A supervisor should never gossip with his employees or betray an employee's confidence. It's not only a bad habit, it's unprofessional. Before you became a supervisor, you were probably given tasks to perform and deadlines for when they needed to be completed. If you had a question, such as which tasks took priority, or a problem, like not having enough time to get a job done, who did you turn to for answers? Yep, chances are you went to your supervisor. Well, now you're the one that people will turn to for answers. What are the goals? When do things need to be done? What projects take priority? Keep in mind that not all of this responsibility rests on your shoulders. Most of the time, company goals are determined by upper management. It's your job to make sure that you and your department do everything possible to achieve those goals. It's up to the supervisor to work with employees to set goals and establish priorities for the department that will ultimately help the company achieve its goals. At first, setting goals and establishing priorities can be a little overwhelming. Here are some tried and true methods that can help you get started. First, many goals are numeric targets. You can begin to think about goals by setting the targets that you want to reach in the next 3 to 6 months or a year. For example, let's say that Joe's group has been told to get 4 boilers overhauled in the next 6 months. This gives Joe a starting point. Now let's look at some things that Joe needs to consider before he meets with his employees to determine what their goals will be. To be effective, goals need to be specific. A goal should be stated in terms of exactly what needs to be accomplished. Both Joe and his employees must understand what is required. Goals should also be measurable. The measurement may be in terms of quantity or quality. And goals should be time-related. This means stating the date the goal should be met. After the goals are set, the next step is to design a plan for how the goals will be met. It helps to make a list of monthly and weekly tasks that need to take place in order to reach each goal. In addition to a monthly and weekly list, it's also a good idea to keep a daily to-do list of the tasks that need to be done each day. Now, of course, a daily to-do list doesn't guarantee that those tasks will all get done. Inevitably, unplanned events come up, making it impossible to do everything. Sometimes it seems like there aren't enough hours in the day to accomplish all the things on your list. That's where setting priorities comes in. Prioritizing your list helps you determine which jobs should be tackled first and which jobs can wait. Here's a simple ABC system that can help you assign priorities to your tasks. Each task on your list should be assigned a letter, A, B, or C. A is for jobs that are important and urgent. These are critical, must-do tasks. B is for jobs that are important but not urgent. These are the should-do tasks that must get done but don't have an immediate deadline. C is for the jobs that are neither important nor urgent. These are the nice-to-do tasks that can be done when time permits. Once the tasks are assigned letters, you can break them down further by assigning a number to each task in a category. Then the most important job becomes A1, and so on.
The number 3 compressor just broke down. Joe, we got problems.
But remember, priorities change. As tasks are completed, deadlines change, or unexpected things happen. Your priorities will need to be adjusted. A B task may become an A C may become a B. That's why it's important to review the priorities often and make changes whenever necessary.
I don't know where to start. Carl needs that overtime schedule right away. My files are a mess. I need to start thinking about goals for next quarter. We needed that part for the compressor yesterday, and I've got to come up with an agenda for next month's employee meeting.
Delegation is a tool that all successful supervisors have come to appreciate. As you learn how to manage yourself as a supervisor, you'll gain an appreciation for the importance of delegation. By definition, delegation is the act of empowering someone to perform a task that would have otherwise been done by you. Successful delegation is the backbone of good supervision. Once you start delegating, you'll be on your way to being better at your job.
Hey, Sue, I'm really swamped. I wanted to talk to you about making up the overtime schedule for me.
Even though the concept of having someone else do the work sounds good, there are actually lots of reasons why new supervisors avoid delegating. Let's look at some of them.
You know, it's kind of tricky, the timing involved in this. I think maybe I should schedule it myself.
This is a common reason why new supervisors don't delegate. They don't believe their subordinates can do the job. This can come from not knowing enough about their abilities or just from having unrealistic goals. But remember, if you don't have confidence in your subordinates, they'll respond with poor performance.
I've got to pull together the information for this report. I'd ask George to help, but what if the figures are wrong that he gives me? That'll look bad.
Another reason why supervisors don't delegate is fear of looking bad to management if the job isn't done properly. Let's face it, every time you delegate, there's a chance that the job won't get done the way you want it done. As a supervisor, you're responsible for the work that your subordinates do or don't do. However, if you let this fear keep you from delegating, you'll never become a good supervisor.
I'll show them how good I really am. I can do this job and supervise my people at the same time.
Some people would rather not delegate a job because they want to be able to take the credit for the job themselves. This way of thinking is bound to fail because, as any good supervisor knows, if you delegate, you can get more done. If you delegate the right way, you'll boost morale, which in turn increases productivity. So ultimately, the whole department benefits.
Matt, could you, forget it. I can do it faster myself.
Another reason why new supervisors don't delegate is that they think it takes too much time. However, as you get better at it, you'll see that delegating ultimately saves time because it frees you up for other tasks. You'll have more time to work on improving relationships, solving problems before they occur, and planning for the future. Now that we've discussed why delegation is so important, let's look at the different levels of delegation. This is Matt. He's a new employee who doesn't have much experience. He's been with the company for just a few weeks. Watch as Joe delegates a job to Matt and see if you can determine which level of delegation is best.
Matt, the pumps at Station 4 need to be inspected. Can you take care of that for me? Just let me know when you're done. Matt, the pumps at Station 4 need to be inspected. I'd like you to take care of that for me. Get the inspection procedures and follow them carefully. Don't forget to write up the report and then get back to me. Matt, the pumps at Station 4 need to be inspected. I'd like you to take care of that for me. Let's you and I go over the inspection procedures together, and then I'll walk you over there. John is already over there working on a pump now, and he can help you out. When you finish the inspection, come see me, and I'll show you how to fill out the report.
This is an example of complete delegation. With this level of delegation, you are giving the worker complete responsibility to take action. This responsibility should only be given to a worker that you feel extremely confident about and who has proven to be knowledgeable and responsible. This was not the best way to delegate to a new, inexperienced employee. This is a substantial level of delegation. This will work with an employee who has proven to be good at the job, but may not be as experienced as someone else. Because Matt is a new employee, this was not the best level of delegation for him. This level is minimal delegation. This is the best choice for a worker who has never attempted this task before, or for someone who has shown poor performance and is improving. At this level, it is important to be very specific and give the worker detailed directions, including how to do the task and when to do it. The worker's job is simply to get it done on schedule. In our example, this is probably the best choice for Matt because he is new and unfamiliar with the work. The next time Joe delegates to Matt, Matt should be ready for a higher level of delegation. Those were examples of 3 levels of delegation. Some experts break the levels down even further into 5 different levels. Remember, supervising and delegating go hand in hand. If you're not delegating, you are not supervising.
I don't understand why Joe always asks John to do that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not very busy. I wish you would ask me some of the time.
When it comes to delegating, 2 of the most common problems that new supervisors have are not doing it right and not doing it enough. Let's spend some time now going over how to delegate. Clearly, the first step in delegating is to select the task to be delegated. This is the time to look at the list of responsibilities you have and decide which tasks can be done by someone other than you. Next, you need to select the person best suited for the task. There are a lot of factors that go into this decision. You have to know who is trained to do the job, or possibly who is ready for a challenge, who currently has too much or too little to do, and who will accept the job with the proper motivation.
John, I want you to make sure the overhaul on compressor number 3 is finished by tomorrow night.
A word of caution. When you're selecting the person, be careful not to overuse one person. Eventually, not only will that person feel overworked, but the other people in your group will feel like you don't value them. It's also important to keep other people's feelings in mind when you select someone for a task. Ask yourself if there is anyone else that this decision will affect. If the answer is yes, make sure you talk to that person individually. When you've got the right person for the job, instruct that person verbally and by demonstration, if necessary, how you want the job to be done. Be sure that your instructions are clear and that you include when you expect the job to be complete. Sometimes, if a job is lengthy, you can give milestone dates and explain that at these times you expect a progress report. Once you've turned the task over to someone, remember that that's not the end of it. Make yourself available to answer questions. It's also a good idea to schedule a time when you can provide feedback. When you give feedback, try not to over-scrutinize. Although this person may do the job differently from the way you would do it, that doesn't mean it's not a job well done. You've put your trust in this person, and unless you have reason to think otherwise, you should give the person a chance to do a good job. Of course, you must also remember that ultimately you are responsible for the job. So although you have delegated the task, you must still follow through with it. Keep track of the assignments and their progress, and pay attention to problems that may arise. Finally, an important and yet often overlooked step in the delegation process is to give praise and recognize successfully completed tasks. Your subordinates need and appreciate your good words. With the right amount of recognition and praise, the people in your group will be more productive and more willing to take on additional responsibilities in the future. Why is time management such an important skill for supervisors? The answers are almost endless. You'll be more productive, you'll set a good example, you'll have fewer emergencies because you'll be better prepared, and you'll have a better balance of work and home life. Time management is a skill that not only helps on the job, but can actually enhance your lifestyle. Once you learn proper time management skills, you'll be able to accomplish your work during work hours, which allows you to leave your work at work. But in addition to all that, you'll start to see that your new time management skills will carry over into your home life. You'll be able to relax and enjoy time with your family without having to worry about all the things you haven't done. Now let's see how time management skills can help Joe, our new supervisor. Joe's already seen why it's important to make a list and prioritize tasks. But this step is important enough to mention again. Making a list of things to do and prioritizing the tasks will help you stay focused on the jobs you need to get done first, while you still keep track of the low priority jobs. Joe's already made his list, but making a list doesn't ensure that everything can and should be done by him. First of all, he needs to ask himself, is everything on this list necessary? He should eliminate any items that are unnecessary or inappropriate. Once he's sure the list is complete, he needs to decide which tasks must be done by him and which ones can be delegated. As you learn the basic skills of supervising, you'll see that one of the best ways to get more done is to do less yourself. In other words, delegate. The more tasks you can have others do for you, the more time you'll have. Another time-saving tool is to look for shortcuts. This doesn't mean doing a poor or less than quality job. It does mean looking for ways to make the jobs you must do easier. Once you start thinking this way, you'll see that there is usually more than one way to get a job done. Your goal is to look for ways to do things faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, hi, John. I need to discuss Matt's training schedule with you. Can you give that some thought, jot down some ideas, and then come to my office in about an hour? Okay, thanks. Bye.
Whenever appropriate, ask people to come to you. Believe it or not, you can save a lot of time by not having to track someone down and then looking for a place to talk. Also, Joe told John what they were going to talk about ahead of time. This saves time because John will come to the meeting better prepared, and the meeting should go faster. You can also reduce the time you spend attending meetings by getting an agenda for the meeting ahead of time. If you see that part of the meeting will not relate to you or require your input, let the others know ahead of time that you will excuse yourself when the time comes.
Yeah, hi, honey. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to work late tonight. Yeah, I got a 10 o'clock meeting out at the site, and then I got to come back to the office to work on a report. Then I got to go back out to the site and meet John to work on the piping system changeout. Well, there's no way I can do everything.
Another time-saving tip is to group tasks together. Why spend precious time going from place to place when more than one job can be accomplished at once?
John, hey, I'm going to be out there this morning for a 10 o'clock meeting. Do you think we can reschedule our talk for 11 instead of 2 o'clock? Oh, sure, I'll hold on.
Sometimes two tasks can actually be done at the same time. A perfect example of this is the next time you're stuck on hold, try reading over that new company policy or newsletter. Set aside specific blocks of time and let people know when is the best time to talk to you. Also, remember that it's okay to tell someone that you'd rather not be interrupted. When someone says, "Got a minute?" it's okay to ask if it's urgent. If it's not, you can tell them that you'll get back to them or ask them to come back at a specific time. And finally, here's a tip that you've more than likely heard before. When it comes to time management, don't procrastinate. Putting things off will only make it worse for you when you are under the gun to get them done.
Okay, I've got that management meeting at 9. I want to check out that new compressor. Sue wants to talk to me about something. I still haven't read the new budget report, and I know that my new work schedule has to be turned in. One of the guys told me that Bill is a real slacker. I guess I better keep the important jobs away from him.